Hi everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel Networking Made Easy by TS Srinivas. So, in continuation with our last session, so today let us see what are the different transmission impairments. Okay, now let us see. So far in earlier sessions we have seen our signal is ready for transmission. Okay, so now this particular transmitted signal has to reach to the receiver. Okay, so generally this particular transmitted signal has to pass through certain medium. So medium, generally we have guided medium and unguided medium. So when any signal traveling through a certain distance, naturally it has to get attenuated because signal may lose due to some heat or some other reasons. Okay, so what is expected is the signal with some strength, what it has started from the transmitter, by the time it reaches to the receiver, it will not be in the same condition, isn't it? So that is what is the attenuation. Its strength has gone down. Okay, and generally it depends, this attenuation depending upon the frequency also. It's a function of frequency. At higher frequencies, the attenuation is higher. Okay, so and it is more complex in the unguided media. Why? Because of the atmosphere conditions and all of the things. Okay, so ultimately what we understand is, see, whenever any signal is traveling through the medium, it is bound to get attenuated. Okay, generally it is represented in dBs. Say, as we have seen, it is convenient for us to represent signal strength and all in the form of a dB. Okay, so now if the attenuation, if the distance between the transmitter and the receiver is so long, so some care has to be taken. If the attenuation has become so low that the receiver will not be able to reproduce the original signal, so then what we need to do is we need to use repeaters in the case of a digital signal and amplifiers in the case of a analog signal. See, generally what could be happening with the analog signal, when it is reaching, the quality of signal will go so low, and similarly in the case of a digital signal, the errors could be taking place. The receiver may be interpreting wrongly. Instead of 1, it may be interpreting 0 or 0 as a 1. So this we call it as an error. To avoid this, we need to use some at intervals, certain distance, you may be requiring repeaters and amplifiers in the case of analog. So now here the word repeater is so interesting, is, see, that is what is digital communication is made more better than the analog communication. Why? Because in the repeaters what exactly is happening is the signal is reproduced actually. Okay, so generally in the repeater, whatever the input signal is available, it is interpreting whether this is a 1 or 0. Then it is exactly reproducing the same thing. So the output of the repeater is, it is exactly what it was at the transmitter end. So in the case of a digital communication, the noise is not cumulative. See, if the means cascading, like a number of repeaters are there, you find that this noise is not getting added up. Whereas in the analog, that is the difference, because the noise cannot be separated from the signal. So in the amplifier, you amplify the signal, the noise also is getting amplified. So likewise, it is accumulative in the case of analog, whereas it is not accumulating in the digital. So that is a very big difference, big advantage as far as the digital communication is concerned. So that is how. So the attenuation is bound to happen. So care has to be taken to improve the signal. Okay. So now once this is seen, then there is a concept called delay distortion. Okay, delay distortion. So what is this particular concept, delay distortion, in the sense, because especially when you consider the guided media, the frequencies, the velocity varies with the frequency. The velocity of the frequency differs. Like suppose the primary signal, the main frequency, it may be traveling with a higher velocity, and the edges, at the edges frequencies, it may be traveling with a lower velocity. So because of this, what happens is, see, this distortion is more affecting the digital signal. Why? Because, so whatever the signal, when it is reaching at the receiver, there may be a slight overlap, because in the bit duration, during the bit duration, one signal has arrived earlier and some signal which has to be the part of it arrives later, so it overlaps with some other signal. Okay, so this particular thing we call it as a inter-symbol interference in the case of a digital. Okay, so the care has to be taken to equalize this particular thing, to avoid this particular interference. Okay, so that is as far as delay distortion is concerned. Okay, now another major disturbance or transmission impairment is the noise. Okay, so now noise, what is actually noise? Again, noise is categorized into 4 different, that is the thermal noise, intermodulation noise, crosstalk, and impulse noise. Okay, thermal noise, the thermal means temperature. So generally this kind of noise is available in all kind of electronic circuits. So wherever the circuits are there, because of the movement of the electrons, so some time of thermal noise is being generated. Okay, and that is temperature dependent. Okay, and it is independent of frequency. This particular noise is available uniform all over the frequency spectrum. Okay, so since it is available all over the frequency spectrum, so it is also called as a white noise. So it is called as a white noise. Okay, so it is represented that in thermal noise, N0 is equal to K into T. K is Boltzmann's constant and T is the temperature in Kelvin. So that is watts per hertz. Okay, this noise is available. Okay, now since this is independent of frequency, suppose now it can be expressed in a particular bandwidth, how much noise will be available, so that you can multiply with the bandwidth. Okay, so it is this noise exists all over the frequency band, so the amount of noise can be calculated this way. So if you represent if you expand into the log form, you can get this particular value in the dBs. Okay, so this is also very important. Noise has to be considered. Okay, so one thing you have to understand when you are especially as far as the design engineers is concerned, whenever you are looking so many noise, the noise is affecting the signal. So you have to take care of, you have to consider this noise. Okay, by considering the noise, and you have designed the circuit such a way so that the receiver, even in the noise also, the receiver is able to interpret your original signal. Okay, that's why we have to study this particular noises in detail. Okay, so this is how the thermal noise is taken care. And there is another noise, intermodulation noise. Okay, so this intermodulation noise, what exactly it is, because the signals of different frequencies, signals of different frequencies sharing the same medium, the signals of different frequencies sharing the same medium, what happens is, because of their strength, signal strengths are more, then what is happening is, say for example, there are 2 different fundamental frequencies, F1 and F2. So in the process, either they add, subtract, okay, there some hormones may be created. Okay, so this since it is sharing the same medium, so some unwanted signal is being generated. Okay, this signal is not required actually, but what it does is, that is actually affecting the main signal. It is affecting the original signal. So this kind of noise is nothing but the intermodulation noise, and this is basically occurs if any system, if it is if the signal strength is high, then it is going into the non-linearity. Okay, so whenever any electronic circuit operated in the non-linear conditions, so this type of intermodulation noise is being affected. So the care has to be taken, the design has to be done accordingly. Okay, so another very common noise is the crosstalk. See, crosstalk is a very familiar term, because sometimes whenever you are using your communication, in the olden days especially, you could be listening some voice signals of other people. Why it could be happening? See, generally it happens because of electrical induction, like see, whenever the cables are running together, so many pairs of cables are running together in a long distance, so signals are passing through adjacent cables due to the electromagnetic induction. Okay, so some of the signal is transferred to some other cable also, that is nothing but the crosstalk. And similarly, this is generally popular in the cables when it is running, even in the microwave also. Certain times the antenna is picking up the unwanted signal and getting processed, so that also causes a crosstalk. So again, the care has to be taken to minimize this particular interference or this noise also. It's a noise. So there is another noise called impulse noise. See, so far what all the noises you have seen is predictable. Okay, so the word impulse means in the short duration rising, very high amplitude, short duration, high amplitude. Okay, this is, you cannot predict when it happens. Okay, so this is a big trouble, and this is this causes a big problem for the digital signal. Okay, see, generally this happens because of the electromagnetic induction, external disturbances like during the lightning, or if any faults are there in the circuits, some industrial atmosphere, some transformers are there, some arcing is there taking place. We don't know, some impulse may be picked up by the transmission line. Because of this, some errors will take place. This impulse noise may not be big problem for the analog signal. Why? Because if any analog signal is getting disturbed, you may be listening, means some curr sound will come, and that's okay. But as far as the digital signal is concerned, for example, a small 0.01 second, a spike, okay, impulse is taking place. What it does is, around during the small duration, okay, duration of this particular pulse can damage so many bits, maybe around 500 plus bits, okay, in the stream of 56 kilobits per second stream. 56, if any bits of having a speed of 56 kbps, okay, a small pulse with this small duration, out of this it can create error for around 500 plus bits into this. So this is what is the problem as far as the impulse noise is concerned. Okay, now see, when you see this transmission impairments are there, okay, because definitely error will happen, there is no other go, but the care has to be taken how this particular in the digital communication, so many measures have been taken so that provision of retransmitting the signal if the error has taken place. So that's how the system is so perfect. Okay, but the study has to be made, so what all the different types of transmission impairments are taking place. Okay, so after understanding so many different impairments in the transmission, now let us see what is the term called channel capacity. Okay, now channel capacity in the sense, see, because at any particular point, channel in the sense, because you should know in this particular channel, this channel will support what is the bit rate this particular channel supports, what is the data rate it supports. Okay, so now by keeping all this, see, errors are there, it's okay. But in spite of this, you have to achieve certain speed, isn't it? What is the data rate in the certain bandwidth? Okay, so the study has to be made. So that is what the channel capacity. Okay, so at any particular, in this particular bandwidth, what is the maximum possible data rate, that study has to be made. Okay, so that is nothing but the channel capacity. Okay, so in order to know what is the channel capacity of a certain bandwidth, okay, we have a Nyquist bandwidth here. We have a Nyquist bandwidth. So what is actually Nyquist bandwidth is nothing but, it is assumed it's totally a noise free, absolutely noise free. Okay, now there is no noise existing between the transmitter and the receiver. So in this particular case, in the available bandwidth, what is the best possible data rate? Okay, so what the Nyquist bandwidth says that See, suppose if the channel bandwidth is B hertz, so then you will be able to transmit 2B bits per second. So what does the Nyquist bandwidth says that if it is a totally noise free, then if the bandwidth is B hertz, then total bits you will be able to send is 2B bits per second. Okay. So, but generally this is possible when the only either 1 or 0 is being transmitted. Okay. So, see, for example, to understand better, what is our voice bandwidth? See, we have seen already, if you want to see in the voice channel, in the voice medium, so when you are using the telephone line, if you want to send the digital data by using a modem, say, okay, you know the bandwidth of this is 3100 hertz. Okay, bandwidth of the voice channel. See, in fact, there is a 4 kilohertz including the guard band, but actually the voice channel bandwidth is 3100 hertz. That already we know. How? Because the voice frequencies exist between 300 hertz to 3400 hertz. So that's how you got the bandwidth of 3100 hertz. So in this case, what is the maximum bits you can transmit through this? What is the channel capacity? Is nothing but 2 into 3100, which is 6200 bits per second. So that's fine. But see, in our earlier lectures we have seen there are different encoding schemes are available, okay, where, okay, each signal element, if the number of signal voltage levels or signal elements are more, you can represent more number of bits. Each signal element will represent more bits. Okay, so in that case, this formula becomes like this, that is C is equal to 2B log M. Okay, so that's all. See, M is nothing but number of signal elements or number of voltage levels. Okay, so in the same bandwidth, for example, if M is equal to 8, say, M is equal to 8. So then what will be the channel bandwidth is 2 into 3100 and log 8 to the base 2. So it comes around 2 into 3100 into 3, which comes around okay. So this is the result, 18,600 bits per second. So now you see the importance of the encoding scheme. So with the same channel bandwidth, okay, if the scheme is good, then your data rate is high. Okay. Now again there is a limitation, because see, by increasing number of levels, again what is the problem? The bits will get congested and the receiver will have more trouble, isn't it, identifying the bits. Okay, so there is a limitation. Okay, now here in this particular bandwidth, what we have seen, we never bothered about the noise. We have said that the noise is free. Okay, but practically it is not possible, isn't it? Already you have seen so many noises are getting affected this particular data rate. Okay, now for that reason we have another formula, that is the Shannon. Okay, Shannon, by considering the signal, this particular noise, we got a new formula. Okay, now here you just see, once we are already aware that there is a noise in the transmission medium, we cannot be ignored. But what action we can take so that the receiver will be able to reproduce your original signal? So even noise is there, your signal level should be so high, the signal strength should be so high, so that even in the presence of the noise, the receiver should be able to identify your original signal. Okay, so that's how we got one new thing called as SNR. So this is nothing but signal to noise ratio. So in the whole transmission medium, this thing, we will be measuring this SNR. Especially in practice, we will be measuring at the receiver. So this parameter is helpful for us to identify, means how the receiver will be able to reproduce your original signal. Okay. Fine. Now, see, generally already we have seen earlier how to represent the powers into the dB form. Okay. So, expressing this particular any powers into the dB form is a convenient for us. So, here also signal noise ratio expressed in dB, that is 10 log signal power by the noise power. So, this is actually the ratio, signal to noise ratio expressed in dB. Okay. So, by considering the signal to noise ratio, we have another new formula as far as the channel capacity is concerned, B log 1 plus SNR. Here SNR stands for signal to noise ratio. Okay. So, to understand these two formulas better, okay, we will take one small example, like a certain band limited signal, okay. In a band limited signal whose spectrum ranges between 4 megahertz and 3 megahertz. Okay. So, what should be the bandwidth? So, that is 4 minus 3 is equal to 1 megahertz is the bandwidth. Say the signal to noise ratio you have in dB, that is 24 dB. Okay. So, if you know these two values, you know the bandwidth and signal to noise ratio as 24 dB. Okay. Then if you want to know what is the channel capacity, okay. So, for that reason what we can do is, first already you know SNR dB, that is this formula if you use, 24 is equal to 10 log SNR, that is signal to noise ratio. Okay, if you calculate SNR is equal to again 10 to the power of 2.4. Okay, so this comes around 251. So ratio you got is 251. Okay. Now this value, if you substitute here in the channel capacity, C is equal to, B is 1 megahertz, 1 into 10 to the power of 6 into 1 plus 251. Okay. So once you calculate this, you will get equivalent to 8 megabits per second. Okay. Now with these values, you are able to calculate your channel capacity is 8 megabits per second. Okay. Now once you know this value, now the capacity of this particular channel is 8 megabits per second. So again, in order to decide about the transmitter parameters, like how many levels are required so that you can achieve this 8 megabits per second. Okay. So that case, if you use this formula, C is 8 Mbps, so 8 into 10 to the power of 6. If you substitute these values in this formula, 8 into 10 to the power of 6 and 2 into 1 into 10 to the power of 6, okay, and log m to the base 2. Okay. So if you calculate, m is equal to 2 to the power 4, which will be equal to 16 levels. Okay. So that is how you are getting, because you can decide how many signal levels are possible, so that means if you have 16 levels, then with this particular bandwidth, you can achieve the speed of 80 Mbps. This is the, okay. So one thing you have to understand, whatever the speed you are getting, it is theoretical. Okay, even in this particular SNR also, when the formula was being derived, okay, it was considered only the certain thermal noise. Okay, so why? Because you can predict this particular thermal noise. So certain other noises like impulse and all is not considered. So that's why overall the practical speed what is achievable is lesser than this particular thing. But anyway, these formulas will be very useful to measure the transmission system, isn't it? You can understand with this particular parameters what speeds, what theoretical speeds you can achieve. So that's how it is interesting. Okay. And another final expression, EB by N0. Okay. So this is also very vital. Why? Because what is EB by N0? EB is nothing but the energy of one bit. It's a ratio. It's a ratio of EB by N0. N0 is like EB is nothing but the energy of one bit. Energy of one bit to the noise power in 1 hertz. So you are going to very minute part, okay, to find out one ratio. Let us see how this particular ratio is useful. So what has been done is you are calculating what is the energy power in 1 bit to the ratio of noise in 1 hertz. So that is nothing but the expression. This is one ratio. Okay. Now see, as it is seen, like energy, like if you consider 1 watt is equal to 1 joules per second. Okay, so in that case, EB signal power of 1 bit, okay, into TB. So this can be expressed this way: signal power of 1 bit into TB. TB is nothing but the duration of the bit. Okay, so that becomes the energy. Okay, so since you have, there is a formula as TB, and also you know that TB is nothing but what? The bit duration. Once the bit rate is also expressed like R is equal to 1 by TB. Okay, R is expressed into 1 by TB. So that's the reason you can replace this EB by S by R. From this, you can replace this by S by R. So that's why you are getting one new expression, S by KTR. N0 is nothing but your thermal noise. Already you know N0 is KT. So, okay. So, if you want to get the value of this ratio in dB, you can calculate this way, SdBW. So, likewise, okay. So, you will be expressing this particular ratio in dBs. Okay. That's fine. So, but what is the importance of this particular ratio? Because there is another useful term called in the transmission BER, that is bit error rate. Okay, so this bit error rate is a function of this particular ratio. Okay, if this ratio is higher, then the bit error rate is lower. Okay, so that's why this measurement is very useful to identify how perfect is your transmission system. Okay, now you see here, by keeping your signal and noise constant, okay, and if you are increasing the bit rate, then what happens? You are increasing the bit rate, what happens? Definitely errors will increase, isn't it? Because the bits have becoming more closer. The noise which was troubling less number of bits, now it will trouble more number of bits. Okay, so if the bit rate is double, so instead of 1 bit, now it will disturb 2 bits. Okay, so finally your bit error rate will increase. So that is what we have to understand from this. Okay, so finally a small revision, because see how important is this topic is. See, we are working with all other systems, that's fine, understanding different schemes, possibilities and all. But see, understanding the transmission impairments, how it is affecting your channel capacity, data rate, these all things have to be understood in a very proper way. So that's what you have seen here, the different types of means like impairments, attenuation, delay, distortion, noise, what are the different categories of noise, and how channel capacity is calculated. So what is the importance of this expression EB by N0? So, well, this was another useful session as per me, especially in the transmission system, because this particular topic, it looks something different, may not be important, but as far as understanding is concerned, I mean, this topic is very important. You should be aware, we have to consider certain transmission impairments also. So this is very useful for a design engineering. Okay. So if you understood, thank you very much, and let's see another very important topic we are going to see in the next session is the time division multiplexing. Okay. Thank you. Let's meet in the next session. Bye.